everybody, welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, so I'm excited to release this new video. So I have been taking a class called Emotional Resilience, and in the class we have to read in a group and do assignments and stuff. And I forgot how much my learning disability really does impact me being in a class environment. So today's video is going to be on dyslexia and specific learning disabilities. So I have mentioned in a few of my videos that I do have an IEP, which stands for Individual Education Plan. Some people have a 504 plan. I'm not quite sure exactly what that is. I didn't have one, but I do know they're similar, and they're both used for special needs for school or individuals that may need just a little bit more help. So I do have a copy of my it's a whole packet, but I have one page out of my IEP that I did want to go over in this video. So I'm going to go ahead and start. So let's see. So a lot of people think dyslexia is like mixing up numbers, and that's really it. That's what they think of. So on paper, a person with dyslexia may reverse numbers and letters without realizing it. Also, some children with dyslexia do not follow expected patterns of learning. And an example of that may be they may learn to spell a word one day, or maybe not even one day, on a spelling test for the week, they'll have a list of words, and then next week they have a new list and they'll completely forget how to spell the previous week. I know that was a big problem with me. If I don't use the word, I'm not going to remember how to use it. My brain, for some reason, won't retain that information because I'm not consistently using it. I feel like, why would I use my brain for that portion of memory when I'm never going to use this individual word again? And that plays a big role in being dyslexic. So some of the characteristics of being dyslexic is poor decoding. And what is poor decoding? So poor decoding is difficulty accurately reading or sounding out unknown or new words. So especially in the English language, well, it's the only language I know, so it's all I can really speak on. But I know for English, it's really hard when I sound out new words, because a lot of the words or letters that go together in a word are vowels, especially if I've never heard somebody else pronounce that word prior. Another one is poor fluency, slow or labored oral reading. So I know that's kind of like what I'm doing. I really have a hard time reading from a script, and even when I do my YouTube videos, I try and write down what I want to talk about. Even when it's my own words, I almost trip up on the word, and I've always had that difficulty doing that, and I'm never going to be able to fix it with no matter how much practice I really have. So slow reading rate is really what poor fluency is. And then the next one I have for characteristics of dyslexia is poor spelling. Difficulty with learning to spell or when spelling words. So I do have a funny story. I'm really embarrassed about this, but it definitely goes to show how these are true characteristics when trying to find or diagnose being dyslexic or having a learning disability. So when so I went to a school where it was K through 8th grade, and when I was in the older grades, I don't remember, it was 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, we would go down to the younger grades, and we would kind of a mentor buddy. We would read and write. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed about this. Even to this day, I can tell you guys the craziest things that happened to me growing up. So we were down in the younger elementary grade, and I remember reading with my buddy, and we were writing a paragraph or a sentence, and the sentence was "come follow me." And the word was come. I wrote C-U-M. And she was probably in 3rd grade, and she's like, "That's not how you spell come." And the whole class got really, really quiet. And I was so embarrassed because I didn't realize all of my peers my age totally started laughing at me because I spelled that word inappropriately, and I didn't realize it was an inappropriate way to spell the word. And also, it's probably just a spelling word that we just had, and that's why it was important to use that word in the sentence. Well, again, it was a spelling word we had within the past month, not recently, so I forgot how to spell it. I would spell it C-O-M-E, obviously is the correct way to spell it, but sounding it out, it's C-U-M, and that's how I spell my words. I sound them out, and a lot of words are not spelled out how they sound, and I remember getting made fun of for that, and yeah, it was bad. It was not a fun day at school after we were done with that. And I hated doing the buddy thing because I knew I was going to mess up somehow, and a third grader is spelling better than me. So yeah, that's my little story on being called out about my bad spelling, and how if I don't continue to use a word, I'll forget how to spell it. So I wanted to, since my channel is about autism, I wanted to put, is dyslexia a form of autism? The short answer is no. They're not the same thing at all. Although there may be some co-occurrence of autism and dyslexia, they are different disorders, and they are not closely linked. So I just want to make that clear that they are not the same thing. I have noticed, though, that I do have a learning disability, and with learning disabilities, you are sometimes at a higher rate of having autism, or if you have autism, you do have a higher rate of having a learning disability. So yeah, so no, dyslexia is not a form of autism. So next on my list is, so I kind of put the VoRtEx of Dyslexia, and what that is to me are like triggers. What is a trigger to me for dyslexia, if that even kind of makes sense? Well, a trigger would be reading aloud. That is a trigger for me. Timed tasks is a trigger for me. Homework assignments, because it has to do with writing, that would trigger like anxiety and stress. A writing assignment, and a judgy teacher who just, like, I feel like sometimes if you physically don't look like you can't do something, then you're capable of doing it. Well, a learning disability is a handicap, a form of being handicapped, and it's frustrating when I would have a teacher or a peer say, well, you don't look like you can't do that. And it would be frustrating because I look in the mirror and that's what I say to myself. So for the longest time, I'd have a hard time understanding, like, I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, there's no physical reason why you can't be able to do something. And I had a hard time with that. So what do they trigger? They trigger fear, stress, worry, anxiety, avoidance, and this last one is really kind of important: memory and attention disruptions. So like when we were in school and we could read, and I remember in 7th grade history, our teacher would always have us read, a paragraph out of the book we were reading. And instead of paying attention, I would count and figure out which paragraph I would be reading, and I'd read it over and over and over again because I didn't want to mess up. And I remember that this would cause me not to pay attention, and I wouldn't remember, sorry, there's a little fly, my window's open and he got in and he's bugging me. It would cause me not to remember what the book was about, and then I would get stressed out that I was going to mess up in my paragraph of reading, and it would just disrupt my entire reading that, and I would have to go home and reread it because I wouldn't pay attention. I was so focused on not messing up that paragraph. So these are all the things I kind of wanted to go over for dyslexia. I wanted to do dyslexia because I'm trying really hard to participate in my emotional resilience class. I noticed that I'm really the only one who doesn't read, and I don't want to be that person who doesn't participate. And I want to know and let you guys know that dyslexia is a big problem, and it mentally has affected me. It's made me self-conscious with my spelling. I don't have very good handwriting, and it's just made me real self-conscious about that. So I wanted to grab my IEP, and right here it states, like, accommodations for my IEP is give an overview of the assignment prior to instructions. That's one of them. Another one is student needs extra time on tests and assignments. I know that I would get really stressed out because I would have a time limit, and then that time limit is all I would focus on. So if I knew that I didn't have a time limit for some reason, that would really help me be able to get a good grade on that assignment. This last one, provide alternative assignments that do not always require writing. This is huge for me. Writing is a problem for me. No matter how many spelling words you give me, and no matter how many times you make me spell that word, as soon as I'm done with that word, I just won't remember how to spell it. So when I have an alternate assignment, this was very, very helpful. And this is all in my IEP, which has to be reevaluated for students all the way up through high school once a year. And then I also wanted to point out this other section. I'm just going to read a small portion of it. Statement. So it's specific learning disability. The student meets the criteria of a handicap condition under the educational classifications of specific learning disabilities. So I do have a form of being handicapped, and I get frustrated even with myself when someone's like, well, you don't look like you're autistic, or you don't look like you have a learning disability. It's really hard because you're right, I don't. And it puts me in, I feel like, that gray area. Like when I was in special ed, I would get so mad that I felt like I didn't belong here because I didn't look like I fit in. When in reality, I really did need the help, and I just didn't understand why. So if I had a parent who was willing to sit down with me and just reassure that it's okay to be like this, I felt like my parents more taught me to hide and mask the fact that I had a disability versus embracing it. So again, if you like my information and what my content's about, again, hit that button, like, subscribe. It helps to get the word out and help me spread awareness and help other individuals on the spectrum, especially women and girls. You're not alone. There's other women out here, and embrace who you are. Some of us are on the spectrum. Some of us need the extra help in school. Some of us don't, and that's okay. But to be here and know that you do have support and you're not alone is great. So comment. I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.